This is another lofting sequence, which is kind of interesting, so we can get other types of designs. I'm going to loft one part, and then I'm going to stitch that to another loft to create a shape. So I'm going to have two lofted surfaces, stitch them together, and then do some radiusing. So a couple of things interesting about this. I'm just going to do a two-source loft. I got a circle, and I'm going to loft that up to this little oval shape up here, and I'll show you why it's oval. And I'm going to take that exact same shape, and I'm going to rotate it around to the top, and I'm going to join them together to get this kind of this beautiful reverse curve here in the center to get this kind of a look. So we're sort of creating a bottle that has a waist look, but this curve is very critical. And then I just made a tapered closure at the top just to finish that off, and I have a very generous radius up here in the top and the bottom. So to get this reverse curve, if I lofted a circle bottom to a circle center up here, and then rotated it and put them together, I wouldn't get a reverse curve. I would just get a straight edge in the middle because it's two circles just meeting. It's like two cones meeting one another. So I wouldn't get this effect. So what I did was I took the circle as the bottom of my shape, and then I played with this oval here in the center. Let's look at this from the top. So I made this oval shape. Now, I didn't just do this right out of the gate. I experimented. I made some really skinny ovals, some fatter ones, and played with it until I got to the point where this one worked. So when I rotated it around, I got this desired shape that I did. So it took a little trial and error. It was an iterative process. So that's where that came from. So it's actually quite simple. So I'm going to loft this, and I'm going to go into my commands, loft, select the bottom, select the top. There's the leading edge, the orientation of the points in the beginning to the end of the surface, and then enter again. And then I have this, and I'm just going to stay with normal. So there's my loft. Now these lofts, I'm going to mention this now, this is like a cone. I know it's going from an oval to a circle, but I have a straight edge going vertically, which means I can put labels on the bottom part of this shape and the top part. So I could do a pressure sensitive label. I could even do a label that's parallel to the top edge and maybe even dips down in this curve a little bit. So maybe that's part of the look that I like. So since this is symmetrical, I'm looking at this bottle from the front and I have the negative curve. If we look at this bottle from the right, we have the curve down here at the bottom in a positive orientation. This bottle works in both directions. So it's kind of a unique shape by doing this kind of double loft. So I'm going to select this lofted surface, and I'm going to go to my front view. And I'm just going to rotate this. Rotate a copy. So I'm going right to my rotate tool. You can use the commands. The center of rotation, and I have copy here. I've selected yes, so I want to copy that. So let's make sure I'm going to snap to this top right here. It's going to click here. I'm just going to go 180 degrees, and there's my copy. So as you can see, the oval section right there in the center is the lining because they're both the same. So if I take this top, let's see, how did I have this one oriented? I'm going to try to keep this orientation. So I'm going to take the bottom one, and I'm going to select that. And I'm now going to look at this from the top view. All this can be done in perspective. Like I had mentioned before, I like looking at one view at a time. I'd like to kind of follow exactly what I'm doing. So since I'm rotating from the top view, I want to look at it that way. That's just sort of how I like to work. So I'm going to go up to my rotate tool again here. And I'm snapping right to the center. Make sure I'm snapping. I have most of my snaps on. Actually, I don't have on. I'm on grid. So that's fine. That'll work. So I'm snapping here in the section. I'm going to take this. I'm going to turn that 90 degrees. Two lofted surfaces. I just went into wireframe so I can see the parts. I'm going to see the curve when I do this. So I'm going to take each one of these objects and trim it from the other. Since they are perfectly symmetrical, I could do it to one, and then I could go back and rotate it and spin it into position, or I can do it to each one of them right here. So I'm going to go with the split tool, and it's right, you can use the command, but I'm using it right here as a split tool. So I'm going to select that. And it says select objects to split. So let's start with the bottom one. I'm going to select this object down here that I want to split. And then it says, and then I have to enter. And then I want to select the object that I want to split from that. How do they say it? Select cutting object. So I'm going to select this one up here at the top. And I'm going to press enter. So you can see that reverse curve that was created. The top object split the bottom object. We can see this nice reverse curve here. That's what we want. Like I'd mentioned, I could just take this, rotate this up and spin it 90 degrees and it could line up, or I could just do the operation again. So both ways are perfectly fine. So let's do that again. Let's go back to the split tool. Now I'm going to start with the top one, because the top one is that complete cone. I want to trim that. So I'm going to select the top one, enter. And I'm going to select the bottom one, and it's going to trim from that one. It'll be hard to see because the curves are going to be in the exact same place. So I'm going to select that and enter. So now to double check that, I'm going to select the top one. Now we see the curve. That curve aligns perfectly with the curve on the bottom one. Now there's the pieces, the scrap pieces, let's call them, in the center. We can get rid of those. So let's not lasso. Okay, I'm going to select that one and delete that. And I want to get rid of that one and delete that. So I still have my source. That's what this oval is here, the oval I used for my original loft. So that's okay, that can stay there. All right, so now I have these two pieces. Let's go back into, I guess even if we view this in shaded, it's not going to look much different, but we can see this black line now. That means I have these two shapes created. So let's just move that so we can see. Okay, got that. Undo. So now I want to join these. So that's this other tool here. It looks like two puzzle pieces. One's white and one's yellow. I'm going to select that. Again, you can use the commands. So I'm going to select this top one. And I'm going to select the bottom one. And join. That work. So let's go back to join. I think I did select, so I'm going to select that, enter. And now we have, this is all one piece. I have that nice line in the center. So what we need to do now is, this is a poly surface. So we can go over to our commands over here, our properties. It's this little colorful donut. So it's open poly surface. So this is all one surface. So I know that I've connected them nicely, but it's open because I have the top and the bottom are not closed. So what we can do is, we have a tool in our surface tools, or actually it's right here. Where is the surface tool? Solids. Yes. No. Yes. All right, so now we need to cap planar holes. I can't remember all these commands. I'm just trying to remember where the tools are. So they're both good. So I just remember this tool over here. It's a little white box with a kind of a blue cap here. It's called cap planar hole. So you can put the command on. So I have a planar hole, which means it's all in one axis. It's flat across the top here, and it's flat across the bottom. So if I use that tool and click on this object, enter, it has now closed the top and the bottom. And what's nice here in Rhino is it's giving me the ISO lines, which are these black lines on that surface. It's also helping to ensure me that I have done this correctly. So now if I were to select this and go to my properties, now it's called a closed solid poly surface. That means I'm good. That can be 3D printed as is. It's a nice closed shape, so that's ready to go. Okay, so now let's fill it. I'm going to use the command fill it. We're gonna fill it edge, fill it edge. So I'm going to select my edge, which is that purple line. Oh, it didn't go all the way, so there are a couple of them. So I'm going to, here we go. So that it's 2 because it's split front and back. So now I have those, and we can see this this calibration here. So after I select the edge, I'm going to enter. And let's take a look. I want to make sure that I have chain edges, which I'm going to do all those edges at the same time. So that's all ready to go. So I'm going to select, they call it hand. I'm going to turn this around so we can see that white number there. So when they say handles, there's 2 dots. So after we select our edge, you press enter. Now we need to press the first handle, which is on the edge I'm radiusing. And then we are going to select the second handle. Hold on, I think I need to go to here. It's a little hard to see. So I'm trying to figure out what I did do there radius-wise. Let's try that. All right, so that's a little bit tighter than I did last time. Bottom. Enter. Okay, right here at the top. So I have those selected and I entered. There's a command up here and it says link handles. Right now it's on no, so I'm going to put that on yes. That means that whatever radius I do to the top will be exactly the same as the bottom because they're linked. So the command will happen all at the same time. So let's move this. Oops, let's move this down a little. So now I'm going to select my first handle, which is out here. Select that, enter. So now this little part is selected because I have my selection color in purple. I'm going to select this other handle here, right by the 1. And I'm going to move that. Now the bottom one isn't moving yet, but we'll see that move. I am going to go to, I think, approximately 3/8. Let's go here. See, the bottom one did the exact same thing. I'm making those exactly the same. So I have those selected. I'm going to press enter. And now we have that radius top and bottom. It's about what I had. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it's close. I know this radius in the center, I made this a little bit tighter than I had done originally. So this is very close to being done. I have this source right here. I'm going to just use a revolve. That source right there is how I made this cap. So this will get a little redundant. We don't really have to spend a lot of time on this. Let's see, let's go to wireframe. I'm going to use my center line and go to my revolve tool, which is under, like I said, it's with the command in. Revolve. Start of axis. So I have selected my source, that one line. So I'm going to use the axis. Can I? I should be able to. So I'm going to select this top edge here. Enter. And I'm coming out here. And you can see my revolve. I'm going to take the, I'm going to keep the grid snap on because I want to make sure this goes all the way 360. So there it is. I'm going to come all the way over to this side here and click enter. So now I've created that surface. Let's just go back into shaded. So there it is. That's that surface. All I have to do is cap the top and the bottom. And it's the same tool that I used last time. It's in Surface Tools. It's not, it's in Solid. Right here. It's called Cap Planar Holes, which we can use the command. So if I just select that, and then I select this part and enter, it has now made that a solid. So there's a top and a bottom, and all I have to do is radius the top. I'm not detailing thread patterns or quite often when I do these bottles, I'll get those from the manufacturers. I'm not going to spend time building thread patterns and tolerances and all that, not unless I have to for a visual point of view, because most of the time I get those from the vendors and they're perfectly detailed and engineered, you know, with the tolerance so it fits and it grabs just right. I don't need to spend my time. I'm more interested in the design. So when I work on a project, I'll get thread patterns and those details from the vendor. They'll send me the 3D data file. All I do is bring it in and attach it to my design. So that's a pretty typical scenario. So that's that bottle. 2 lofts. It can have pressure sensitive labels on it. And then I just designed this closure to fit.